Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Keipert Labs. In today's video we're going to be discussing the concept of cell division. Basically, where do the cells that you have in your body come from? So, what we've looked at in the past is this concept, this scientific idea that we call cell theory. This idea that living things are made up of cells. The cells are the building blocks or the structural kind of the bricks that come together to join to make the house that is you. So all living things are made up of cells. And there might be one cell or it might be many cells. And looking at this idea that all existing cells come from previous cells. Okay, we've looked at this concept in the past, that the idea that all the cells that make up who you are right here and right now originally came from previous cells. Cells that used to be alive and that are no longer there. And that your body is continually regenerating, that some cells are making, we're ending up with new cells constantly churning through over the course of your lifetime. Other cells that in your body needs to last over a whole period of time. But what we want to focus on is that how does this actually happen? We're saying that it does happen, but we want to know, well, how can one cell become a new cell? How do new cells come from old cells? And that's where we get to this idea of cell division. Okay, and so I'm just going to draw for you a really simple example of a cell. Okay, so this is the outline of the membrane of our cell. Okay, so inside our really simple cell, we know that we've got little parts that exist inside called organelles. The first one, or the one that we're going to focus on at the moment, is this one called the nucleus. Okay, the center of the cell. Okay, that controls things. Okay, and inside that nucleus, we have what we call chromosomes. And these chromosomes are made up of DNA. Okay, now we're going to, in the future, that we're going to study this in a lot more detail. But the idea is that this DNA is the set of blueprints or instructions that your cell needs inside it in order to know what to do, how big to be, what exactly, it's the instruction manual that tells it everything it needs to know in biological, chemical terms, okay, that it can understand. And it also, these instructions are the fundamental aspect of who you are. That they dictate what your hair color is, what your eye color is, how tall you are, other physical features you have, other functional features that you have in terms of how your body works. Okay, they all kind of originate from this set of instructions. And so what happens is that these instructions are one of the most important aspects of what this cell is about. Not only does it tell it what to do, but it means that every new cell that becomes who you are needs to have the same set of instructions. And so we need a way in order to make sure that every new cell that gets made is able to actually contain those same set of instructions without being made to in any other way. So kind of simple kind of mechanism, or at least a process to help that happen. And that's where we get to this idea of what we call cell division. Okay, that is, cells divide to form new cells. Now, it seems a bit strange in one respect to think, okay, well, in order to make a new thing, that we need to break up the old thing. But then it also kind of intuitive that we can actually break things down to make new things. But what we're doing here is that rather than actually kind of breaking it, just kind of smashing it to bits, we're dividing it or breaking it in a very particular way. Okay, and we're going to walk you through the simple steps of what that looks like. Okay, so what we have, I've just done a really simple kind of version of the cell. I'm not showing kind of the outside of the nucleus. We know that it's there. It's just the cell, and it's got those chromosomes in it. Okay, and so this is our pre-existing cell. The cell that has been and is. Okay, so what happens is that we get the instructions inside copy. Okay, so we have a new cell, within this same cell, that we kind of get more versions of these same instructions, these chromosomes. Okay, so we say the chromosomes duplicate. We get an extra copy of each one. And then what happens is that the chromosomes separate. This is a bit of a simplified explanation. So we kind of get one set of instructions going to one end of the cell, and then another set of instructions going to the other end of the cell. And then the cell splits in half. So it splits here down the middle so that we get one set of instructions on each end, and we end up with one cell here and one cell here. Now I'm just going to redraw that membrane just a tiny bit. So what we have is that these are exact copies or clones. Okay, so as far as we've gone from one cell and through this process of copying, separating, and splitting, that then we've ended up with two new versions of the same identical cell. And we call this particular process mitosis. Okay, so it's cell dividing to make exact copies, mitosis. Okay, and so mitosis happens in two main ways: growth, or kind of two main applications, growth and repair. So in order to make your body grow bigger, so as what's typically happening to you during your adolescence, and as a child, the idea is that your muscles grow bigger, your bones grow bigger, that you grow bigger in size by making more copies of cells. And also we need to repair damaged cells, or we need to repair damaged tissue. So you hurt yourself, you hurt your muscle, and so then it needs to repair and rebuild by making new cells. Okay, and so mitosis is the process of cell division that turns a pre-existing cell into two new cells. Okay, both are exactly the same as the original cell, and so so now we have two where we had one before. Okay, and then this helps in your body to be able to get this process of regeneration or making new, helping to refresh cells that otherwise naturally would need to die, and replacing dead cells. Okay, so we have this process of cell division to make pre-existing cells into new cells. Also, to help for us to get new cells, we copy the instructions which are inside of these things that we call chromosomes. We make copies. The copied parts separate to each end of the cell, which then splits in half to make two new cells, exact copies or clones. We call them daughter cells. And so this is the process to help make new cells. Alright, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.